I'm Jamie Gorman, the host of Be Better at Business TV. My guest this morning is pastry chef and budding YouTube star with over 1 million YouTube views, Jason Schreiner, the Aubergine Chef. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Jamie.
This morning we're going to be talking about how to use online video marketing to market your business and to brand yourself. Well, Jason, I know your true profession is as a pastry chef and teaching classes and teaching others to do that. But you've kind of become this online video expert, with the 1 million views on YouTube.
Right.
What are some tips? We talked about the equipment, but what are some other tips that people can use as they go through and start to try and come up to speed on doing video?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you don't want to be intimidated. It's not like it's Turkish olive oil wrestling over here. You just want to put yourself out there and be confident, exude that confidence. The second thing is you need to realize, really, and I had a hard time getting over this in the beginning too, is it's not about you. You want to help these people. If you come off like you're not interested in what they had to say, or you're not putting something useful out for them, they're going to let you know it, because people on YouTube are not afraid to say, you know what, this video is awful.
Have you gotten any of that?
Oh yeah, you get a lot of that.
Okay.
And that's another thing you need to get used to. Basically, trolls. There are people who are online on YouTube who are just going to down comment you just for fun, just because they get fun out of it. And they may not even be in your industry. They may be competitors. You just have to say, you know what, that's fine. But at the same time, for those mean comments, try to pull something out of it. Like some people were saying, like, oh, this video is awful, I can't see anything, so I improved my lighting.
Okay.
These videos are too long, so I edited more.
Right.
Just because they're being nasty doesn't mean that you can't find something useful out of it.
Yeah. So just because they're being mean doesn't mean that it's not some truth to it.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And let's see, what else was I?
Well, and going back to your first thing about not being afraid to just get out there.
Right.
And I tell people this as we turn them onto social media and blogging and those types of things. And I say, listen, when you just start, there's really nobody watching anyhow. So it's a good way to kind of get out, get your feet wet. You can always take those down later as you make better ones. But just kind of get out and get started, and to really learn what it's going to take, and then you can promote it and create that.
Right. It's all about the practicing. When you start writing, you don't write very well. When you start drawing, you don't draw very well. It's and people are intimidated by the video because, again, of the feedback. But again, you be confident. But at the same time, make sure that you're continuing to build your skills. Work on your public speaking.
Yes.
Work on the presentation of your studio. One of my episodes, I always clean the dishes before I shoot, because I don't want to have a sink full of dirty dishes.
Right.
And so one of them, I had one of my cleanest sheet pans, one of my most unused sheet pans right behind me, and with the lights, it was just like a giant mirror.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, you don't want to have light right behind you, which was difficult for me, because I have a kitchen with a light right behind me. So, be aware of your surroundings and just keep learning and going on, and that's how you get better. I wasn't the greatest, if you look at my first video, it's terrible. But you know what? I started somewhere, just like everybody has to.
Yeah, and even in this studio where we shoot, we've moved the set around and done different things with stools or chairs and just different things, because when we looked at it and based on some comments we got, we were able to improve it and move things around and work with the light. So that it's, we still got a long way to go. It can always get better, and I think that's part of the challenge of doing the video is making it better, right?
Right, exactly. Another way you can make your video marketing as effective, especially if you're using YouTube, is follow up with your comments. If people are expecting a response, you really need to follow up with them within 24 hours, even sooner than that. Because people on YouTube, in video marketing, you're making yourself available. If you put this out there and you're not available, again, it's going to come off that you're all about you and not about them.
Right.
And it's not difficult to respond to a comment. It's the same as if going on Facebook and leaving a comment. So, make sure you always follow up.
So really, it's get started. Don't get discouraged when people are either giving you bad comments, or sometimes you don't get any comments at all, right? I mean, and you're kind of like, is anybody watching this? What am I doing it for? And then you talked about some of the length and some of the other things as well. That's good.
Well, and another thing you need to think about is your editing.
Right.
You want to make sure that it makes sense for you. So, like for the showing of the houses, you don't want to put a lot of editing in there, because you want the floor plan to make sense. You want people to feel like they're walking through the house. But for me, it needs to be as short as possible, because you don't need to see me whisking for 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point, is that I know that online video, people are a little less likely to sit there for 30 minutes and watch something that's long, unless you get into some of the training things, some of the things where they're getting great information, which is I hope they're getting that from this show.
Right.
So maybe a little bit longer, but really in that 3 to 5 minute range, is that what you're finding?
Yes. people have a tendency not to want to watch a video if they see that it's longer than 3 or 5 minutes.
Right.
Which is a hurdle for me, because it's very difficult for me to make a complete recipe accurately, show you how to do it in 3 to 5 minutes.
Right.
So what I've been doing lately is doing reference videos where I do exactly one technique. This is how you make a meringue. And then that video is like 30 seconds to 3 minutes long, depending on how involved it is. And that way, I don't have to show you again in the major videos that I do.
Right.
So all I have to do is put a little link in the video, which is very easy to do. You do that through annotations.
Yep.
And you just click that, it goes to my next video, which is very helpful for monetizing, because now I'm having you watch 2 videos instead of just
Right,
one.
right. And there's a lot seems like a lot to learn here, and you know, getting into it and really making it work. I mean, it's not easy to do a couple videos here and there with the right equipment, but at some point when it starts to become a big part of your marketing, what point would you recommend somebody start bringing in an expert? You know, to kind of do it, either do it for them or get some tips or help them set it up.
Well, it just depends on what your goals are and how big your marketing budget is.
Okay.
And again, of course, your time, how much time you have to dedicate to it. Now, if you find that your material is coming off a little dry, maybe you need to hire a writer. Maybe you don't need to hire a camera person.
Right.
If you want to have some special effects, maybe you need to hire a producer or editor or whoever can use those sophisticated programs. You know, if you're trying to do more complex shoots, or you're having, like, for the showing houses, obviously you can't do this the entire time.
Right.
So you would need to hire at least a camera person just to hold the camera. So you just need to make sure, you need to think about what your goals are. What's the most important thing that somebody gets out of this video? Is it humor, or so you want to hire a good writer? Is it the camera work? Then hire, you know, camera person.
Right.
That kind of stuff. You need to make sure that it makes sense for you. But at the same time, you have to remember there are a lot of successful YouTube people who just do it all by themselves.
Right. Yeah, so I think that's the same with a lot of different marketing. Is a lot of it's not that it's complicated and you need that expertise, although to get really great video you start to need that expertise.
Right.
But it is that time, right? Because it does take a lot of time, not just to do the setup and do the taping, but then all the post-production, and then you get into the promotion. And so it can take a lot of time, and so it is important to, I think, figure out who you need. I like that suggestion of, hey, because I think if you're going to need video, you need video help camera people. But yeah, you might get a writer that can help you do that, because that takes time as well.
It just depends on what you're doing.
Right.
And a lot of people, maybe it comes off in my videos, but I actually don't have a script. I use my recipe as a script.
Right.
And I just kind of because it's just like, I started doing a script for my first few videos, and I was just like, you know, I deviate from it so much, it's just wasted time.
And you can't memorize it all anyhow, and then you lose your place, and you get all confused, and it just
I'm awful at memorization,
Right.
trust me. I'm all about doing it over and over again, and if I don't have time for that.
That's right. It'll take you some more time even memorizing.
Exactly.
And you can come across pretty natural if you're just kind of, you know, I try to keep an outline and just kind of keep notes of what I want to, and key points I want to make, but then hopefully it comes across a little bit more natural.
Which is like how a recipe is.
And not as much memorization.
Right, exactly. And another thing about the time commitment, like, it does take me a very long time to do my videos, because I have to find the recipe, buy the ingredients, test it if I'm unfamiliar with it, and that's just the recipe. Then I have to do the setup of my stage, I have to put the lights up, the camera up, make sure everything's charged, make sure everything's working, and then I have to record it, and then, you know, I still have to clean the dishes and all that kind of stuff. Then I have to stage it to take photography. And I'm already exhausted from making whatever it is, but, you know, I have to make sure it's fresh. And then the other thing, all the post-production. I have to edit my own videos. I have to make sure it syncs up with the sound correctly. Then I have to upload it, write the blog post, all that kind of stuff. But you can get it done in a day or two. It really doesn't take that long. I mean, and like, a lot of people won't have the same intensity that I do because they won't be cooking or that kind of stuff.
Well, and one of the things we found is that either by going live or by the way that you tape, you can kind of cut some of your post-production down. So you were talking about before, like if you're going through and you make a mistake, you don't dwell on it or whatever and then start right in. You leave a pause so that there's a good place to cut it before and after, and you can come back in. So you kind of learn those tricks, don't you, the hard way sometimes.
And so this is what he's talking about. So I'll say something and I'm like, oh, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, so I'll do this. And so that when I start talking again, I just pick up where I left off.
Right.
So that way I don't have to put in a weird transition, or the jump cut doesn't go like this and this, you know?
Yeah.
So it's been, you know, just to kind of be aware of how you can help yourself in editing to make it faster and that part of it.
Right. That's great. Well, I want to thank Jason Schreiner, the Aubergine Chef, for being here with us this morning. And Jason, just take a couple minutes here and tell us a little bit more about what you do and what the Aubergine Chef is all about.
Okay, sure. So the Aubergine Chef is an online food blog. That's how we started. I have my free recipe downloads, my free videos. We talk about food science, we talk about equipment and on technology and that kind of stuff. After that, I started teaching classes at the Manassas Park Community Center. Actually, I have one tonight. It's the cake decorating one where we're making Swiss buttercream and we're doing decorating flowers.
Okay.
And from there, I also do private demos for your home, your business, or your event. So I can come in and be like a live cooking show, or I can come in and make a cooking class for you in your house.
Right. I really like the events and kind of the party aspect of that to come in, because people look for entertainment, and that'd be a great thing to do for that.
Right. It's very difficult for adults to find something entertaining for kids. You know, you can hire a clown, you can hire a magician, but for an adult party, what do you do? So I'm trying to fill that niche.
Do a pastry chef and a wine tasting, and we'll be all set.
I'm into it.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for being with us. I'm Jamie Gorman, the host of Be Better at Business TV and the CEO of Sigma Business Management. Being better at business helps you make better decisions, which leads to better results. At Sigma Business Management, we help you do that, to be better at business and to get those results.